Fellow historians, this is Shady After Dark. Shady After Dark will be different than other Shady Historian videos that we have because it will be focused more on individuals that I'm interested in, well, yeah. That's what it comes down to. And I'm not a freaky guy. I don't think I'm a freaky guy, but then again, this is kind of freaky if you're looking through archives and looking at pictures of dead people and but then again, the world is coming to an end, so we might as well go out with a bang. So yeah. Oh, don't worry, this is its war. This is this H2O, kids. Yeah, none of that. Now, the first video we're going to focus on in our series is about Nikola Tesla. Now, he was just such a fine motherfucker. I mean, look at that. Look at him. And then look at that fucking mustache. Like, I got a mustache going on, but that's nothing like the mustache that he got going on in that. Look at that. Like, oh my God. So he was an engineer, he was an inventor, and just a very, very serious person as it relates to technology itself. And he just looks really good, and I just need to get out of quarantine. But he just looks really good. He was born in 1856 in the Austrian-Hungary Empire. He can memorize so much different mathematical knowledge, so much different scientific knowledge. He was really a genius. He can speak several different types of languages. He will be up all night, all day, just really this discipline and honing his craft and really just trying to become the best electrical engineer possible. And it's just so amazing when you just see like so much discipline and so much drive and so much sexiness to this man. Now, while most men can't text you back, by the age of 26, Tesla came up with the idea behind the brushless AC electrical current. Now, zodiac sign wise, this is very important for me because anyone who really, really knows my heart knows that I make zodiac connections. So I'm disappointed to say this, but he's a Cancer. And as an Aquarius, we would just not be a good match. And that sucks. I also don't like Cancers. My moon is in Cancer. It's the reason why I cry. Now, in addition, there's one thing you should definitely know about him. He was tall. And he also had like big hands and big thumbs too. So, my guess is, he probably has something else big going on down there as well. You gotta keep everything in proportion, but then, then there's those incidents and that's not the case. Everything's not in proportion. God makes us all in different images. But as far as I'm concerned, he definitely has to have something going on down there. Now, he never ever married. He was just so in love and so invested in his craft that he never found a woman who was right for him. Actually, as it relates to dating, period, there's nothing that exists about him. I'm not sure what his sexual orientation would be. And because I do not have the means of legal representation or can I afford them, I will not go further into talking about that. I'm going to leave it alone. But I can talk about everything else. The law is funny like that. But I know not to fuck with this. Now, him and Edison worked together on some projects in the 1880s. He came in, he was working on Edison's patents. His method of really working on things were different than Edison. Edison was working based off of a DC current, and Tesla was interested in working, a lot of his work was off of AC. There's quite a bit of questionable evidence as it relates to, him, Edison stealing Tesla's work. It's possible. And yeah, it gets pretty heavy between those two. Not in a broke that way, but like heavy kind of way. That could be heavy too, but this was like conflict, work conflict kind of shit. So what happened was that Tesla ended up leaving at the end because he really felt that he was not being respected, and he wasn't being respected. He was a genius, and he wasn't being respected for his full work working with Edison. So he actually ended up working with Edison's competition at one point. His work is arguably so incredibly foundational. It's in foundational period in every electrical appliance that you plug in right now. So when you're plugging up your phone, when you're when you're about to heat up a part tart, when you're plugging and charging up your computer to watch some more pornography, you have him to thank. And he's sexy. Isn't that great? Like, isn't that wonderful? Now that, my baby was done, he was like, I'm not gonna work for Edison anymore. Fuck Edison. I'm gonna find someone who could really appreciate me, really understand me, really get where I'm coming from, because I'm this shit. You gotta really understand who I am in these streets. He went working for a man by the name of George Westinghouse. And George Westinghouse was not hot at all. Like, look at this picture. I mean, everyone got their own taste and their own likes and whatever you want to do, but now this would be lay the groundwork for the current wars to happen between Tesla and Edison, right? This happened at the turn of the 19th century going into the 20th century. America is officially becoming a world power, and it really wants to power its entire nation state from sea to shining sea. So they're both competing on which one would be safer. Would it be Tesla's AC current, or would it be Edison DC current? So they had this huge war in the press saying which one was safe, which one was not. They were using it in electrocutions and all types of just wild madness between the two. Ultimately, what happened was that Edison ended up winning the current wars itself. That's why you probably hear much more about Thomas Edison in society. But that doesn't mean that Tesla didn't have like a huge, great impact. As I mentioned earlier in the video before, and also he's sexy as fuck. For the rest of his life afterward, there's not anything as exciting as the current wars that happens for Tesla's life. He does continue to make inventions and does all sorts of types of patents, and he's actually funded for a lot of his research by JP Morgan, but there's nothing ever as big as that huge moment of the current wars within the public consciousness. And I mean, he lives in my imagination, but there's nothing else that's big. He does unfortunately suffer from mental illness and possibly like a form of OCD. He became obsessed with cleanliness. And the number 3, he also falls in love towards the end of his life with pigeons. I'm not joking here. I'm very serious. He really starts to begin like a love affair with some pigeons. He doesn't have sex with the pigeons, but he talks about this sexy white pigeon that he felt this energy from. That was a feminine energy. So yeah, there you have it. Yeah, that's his story. I still think he's sexy as fuck. Maybe not towards the end. There's nothing sexy about falling in love with pigeons. I mean, we all have our things, but I mean, yeah. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe below and see you next week.